Pan Am Flight 103 exploded over Lockerbie, Scotland in 1988, killing 270 on board the plane and on the ground. In 2003, Libyan leader Moammar Gadhafi admitted his country was responsible, but he always denied prior knowledge. Now his former Justice Minister Mustafa Abdel Jalil says Mr Gadhafi personally ordered the bombing. The Swedish newspaper Expressen says Jalil told its correspondent in Libya he has proof that the Libyan leader gave the order, but he offered no evidence. Jalil says Abdelbaset al-Megrahi carried out Mr Gadhafi's order. Al-Megrahi is the only man convicted of the attack, but was released from a Scottish jail on compassionate grounds in 2009, suffering from cancer. But Ammerman's brother Tom was one of the Lockerbie victims.
This information that's coming out today is the smoking gun that we've been waiting for 23 years.
The allegation about Mr Gadhafi raises questions about whether Britain and other Western countries were too quick to welcome Mr Gadhafi back into the international fold. But former British government minister David Trefgarne says people should not jump to conclusions. Trefgarne is now chairman of the Libyan British Business Council.
If you look back at the Lockerbie incident and all that happened from it, there have been huge numbers of allegations of all sorts of different kinds, some of which have proved to be true and many of which have proved to be not true. And I'm not in a position to provide any authenticity for the one to which you have referred.
Mr Gadhafi reached out to Britain in 2003 when he hosted then British Prime Minister Tony Blair. And Trefgarne says the relationship brought many benefits.
They handed over their weapons of mass destruction, ended their WMD programme. They gave an undertaking not to support any form of international terrorism in future.
But now Libya is in turmoil and there are wide reports that Mr Gadhafi has ordered lethal force against his people. That raises other questions about Western arms sales to Libya. British companies shipped sniper rifles to Tripoli as recently as November. Kay Stearman is spokesperson for the campaign against arms trade.
The European picture, of course, is that everybody is trying to sell to Libya. They're a very, very rich country and it's opened up enormously in the last few years. So there, I think you'll find the Italians, the French, the Germans are very much competing with the British to sell things. Even tiny Malta has sold, I think, about £80 million worth of weapons to Libya.
The violence against protesters in Libya has led to calls from many European governments to impose trade sanctions on Libya. Scotland, meanwhile, says it will pursue any new lines of inquiry that become available in relation to the Lockerbie bombing. Henry Ridgwell for VOA News, London.